Guardians, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
What is going on, Guardians across the universe? We are back with a brand new episode of Cosmodrome Radio, the podcast all about Destiny 2 and all the great things about it. We are here once again for a brand new episode 46. We are 4 episodes away shy from episode 50. It's going to be awesome. We got things popping and locking and polka dot here. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all those great places after the show is over the next day. So make sure you tune in for that. If you can't listen right now, I gotta go somewhere. Don't worry, the log will be later on tomorrow. So definitely check that out. You can also check out the merch store, Cajun Geeks over here with the merch shirt on from the Crota Zen raid. It looks amazing. Make sure you cop that at shop.cosmodromeradio.com. Make sure you check that out, and you can follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio, because I will not support Elon's crazy fixations. All right, folks. My name is Pen of the Paladin. To my left, we have the one sporting our merch shirt. Cajun, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Freaking, this week's been a hell of a week, but unlike the freaking federal government that wants to shut down whenever it wants to, we're like 7-Eleven. We may not be doing business, but we're always open.
There you go. All right, then we have someone who I'm really proud of, because she started a new series on her Twitch channel today where she's reading lore to the good people of the internet. Tower Mom, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. I had a great stream earlier and just really enjoying the day. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing pretty solid. I cannot complain. And then we got the president of the Zivu Wrath fan club. Hell, like always, doing the good things out in the world. Apparently he's playing Cypher Inspire while we're live. David, how you doing, dog?
Man, right now I'm just trying to level up from president of the fan club to boyfriend status, bro.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yes!
Break it in. Look,
Dave is trying to achieve that waifu status.
I'm telling you, bro, husband status
really
on the way.
Husband status. He hears the audio logs and be tripping, ladies and gentlemen. He be tripping. All right, folks. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. The first thing we are going to be covering that sadly TikTok won't be able to see, but we will have the twin pulled up for folks. That way you can take a look and see what is going on in the streets. We're going to be first covering the twin, and then we're going to be talking about your community questions and your community feedback that y'all want to talk about when it comes to different topics and whatnot. So we definitely had the people in the Discord lend a hand. We had some people over in a Facebook group and lend a hand as well. And obviously, if you're part of the Twitch chat and want to have your question answered as well, we'll try to get to those as well. So make sure that you tune in, and we will get into it. So, with this week's twin, I gotta say, let's touch on the Nightfall and Trials Awards this week. The Nightfall, the GM this week, it was the second return, not the second return, but the first return, the second round ever of Heist Battleground Mars. And man, oh man, it is not as painful as it used to be. The reason why I say that is goddamn Banner of War is amazing. Oh man, when you put that thing on the table, it does work. I even saw someone solo flawless it. I was like, oh my god. To see Banner of War put in so much work is phenomenal. And I will say, this GM actually feels attainable now, rather than so hard that even top streamers are like, what the heck has Bungie done? They tweaked a few things. They made it so the endless waves of enemies in the boss room kind of calm down, similar sort of like Glassway or Proving Grounds, where it's not every 2 seconds. So it's very nice and very understandable, and I really enjoy that. So shout out to Bungie for actually taking a little bit of criticism and tweaking some things. Go ahead, Cajun.
And that right there, I love that because we saw that in the Europa Battleground map where the only time you saw a new ad spawn is when you went and dunked the freaking middle section. So
Yep.
the fact that they took a similar approach with the Mars Battleground, which to me, honestly, it still gives that freaking, hey, you have to have a coordinated team and effort in order to manage that room overall because of all the ads that are spawning. And the fact that the freaking boomer knights will chunk you
Oh my
down
god.
so
Oh
freaking
my god.
hard.
It's not even
So,
funny, bro. Oh my god. Them and the witches,
but
bro. The witches are horrendous.
oh
Even
yeah,
with Banner of
but
War.
but it's not an overwhelming chaotic to where you need to freaking I've seen people not even have to resort to using the cheese to manage that room
I mean,
and
but that
that
cheese is definitely tasty, though. I will say that that cheese is definitely
and
tasty.
even that, speaking of the cheese, there was, I can't remember which streamer, they found another area that apparently the boss is too chunky to go upstairs
Oh,
to where you can kind of like hide behind a pillar. He
hmm
can't come up the stairs, but you have good line of sight on all the other mobs around. So it's like, ooh, I won't lie. This week I've kind of taken a hiatus from a lot of things. So this weekend I'm definitely going to try and push through like GMs and stuff, and I
yeah.
want to
We'll
do
definitely
some.
get some runs on this weekend because I need a good roll of that bow because this bow, oh my god, it makes Strident Whistle look like a bitch. Like you like
Oh,
Oh
freaking
God.
I've been hearing a lot of good about this bow, and I'm like, oh shit.
like pre Astolanax, what is that, 4? Like that's 4, right? You know, like this bow is sexy. This bow puts in work. Like you don't expect a precision bow to put in this much work, but oh my god, even with the roll that I have of, I think it was Archer's Tempo and opening shot, just running around and like out in the wilderness, just shooting stuff. It felt crispy. It felt good. So if you could get a roll with like Archer's Tempo and Explosive Head, or Archer's Tempo and freaking Incandescent, some people were even kind of messing with Shoot to Loot and Light in Action because the Light in Action is really good on it. There's a lot of good rolls for this bow. And I will emphasize this for everybody in the room. Even if you just play Legend or Master, you have a shot for the bow. Don't force yourself into GMs if you are not ready for that content. There is still an attainable version of this bow. Do the attainable version and don't stress yourself out.
Don't
You.
get stuck for 4 hours like we were with me. Please don't put yourself through that torture.
I mean, it was a fun time. I will say that. It was a fun time.
That's where the fun happens, though.
Right. Now,
that's where legends are made.
And ironically enough, Coop mentioned it in Trials, like the brand new grenade launcher, the Cataphract GL3, the first heavy GL stasis GL since the Raid GL is out. This thing is an adaptive heavy GL. It is sexy. The role that everybody's chasing is freaking envious assassin and bait and switch. They're like, oh my god, it takes so much. Oh my god, but in reality, if you really sit down and compare the numbers, literally just like if you have a god roll of Wendigo from like a couple seasons ago with like spike nades and auto-loading explosive light, it does the same amount of damage. So who cares? Like for the trial sweats and people who gonna go attain that, by all means, you have another option for your DPS. But in terms of like, if you got a Wendigo, you're fine. So I'm like, yeah, I don't have to play trials this weekend. So
All I'm gonna say is Bungie needs to make grenade launchers great again.
So that actually is a really
grenade
interesting question.
launchers great.
I agree with that statement. And Bungie has tried twice now to make heavy GLs worth a damn again. But the problem is they don't want an anarchy crisis of Season of the Splicer again. So it's like, I understand their hesitancy. Hell, there was even that point during Season of Plunder where they said, hey, we were going to buff heavy GLs, but then they buffed them too much on accident. And it was like, oh no. And it was just chaotic as hell. So it's like,
Yeah.
Look, I miss my days of being able to go into a raid boss and chunk freaking grenade launcher spam for DPS.
I miss those
There's
days.
there's just something about that just
Good old
felt
anarchy,
so
huh?
good.
Anarchy. I remember freaking day one of Atheon, just like shotguns and anarchy, man. It was so much fun. I miss them days, man. It was great. So like, we need to get back to that, man. I'm tired of the rocket launchers. I want my GLs back, man. I want my GLs to shine again. And like, if someone said in chat, "Make Galley great again," yes, curse Gambit, make Galley great again.
Yes.
Make Chill Clip great again after the freaking nerfing got it's pissing me off. So if you're chasing the GL this weekend, try to get yourself a envious assassin and bait and switch roll. I really don't get the hype around bait and switch. I don't like having to break my fingers swapping guns every 2 seconds to make bait and switch work. I like perks like Vorpal and Explosive Light where they just work and you don't have to break your hands just to make them work. So that's just a me thing. Like I remember back when freaking hot swapping shotguns was a pain in my left nut. So like I'm satisfied with what we got here. This is fine. I don't need this bait and switch meta. I barely like freaking Izzy swapping. So like I'm content with what we have here. So that's just what I'm saying. Now, for moving on from there. Checkmate weapons update. Bungie has said they've gotten some pretty good feedback about Checkmate. They're going to be doing some different things when it rotates back in next week. Not only are they going to be not only are they going to be increasing the damage penalty on the Devil's Ruin laser beam from 10% to 15%. Fighting lines are going to go from 0% to 20%, and bows from 0% to 10%. They're reducing the damage penalty on sidearms, submachine guns, and scout rifles, and they're increasing the bonus damage on auto rifle and pulse rifles, and reducing the bonus damage on hand cannons. So that's going to be a really interesting situation there in general. So. And one of the community questions we got that we can kind of touch on, we've already kind of had this discussion, but now that more people have been lending their voice to the conversation, it's worth touching on again. How is the community feeling about Checkmate? Because truthfully, and this is just a me thing, and I said it the last time we talked about this, I genuinely feel like Checkmate is going to be a detriment to the future of Destiny 2. And the reason why I say that, I will go on the record, I will fight any PvP person on this. Destiny is an MMORPG first and an FPS second. This game was meant to be an MMORPG looter shooter from the core. If we try, and I don't like giving Glad credit all the damn time, but Glad even said it. PvE is first, PvP is second. We don't we don't need to like totally disregard PvP. And PvP has needed help for a long time. I will die on that hill that Destiny did abandon PvP for a long time because it wasn't a priority. Granted, it's getting help now after immense outcry. But at the same time, we don't need to make this mode be any more than what it is, if not at all. Because I'm tired of Bungie beta testing inside of Destiny for Marathon. This isn't Call of Duty. Reducing abilities, focusing on TTKs, and not really caring about the RPG elements is what the Call of Duty sweats want. That's what everyone's been advocating for years, but it's not aligned with what Destiny is supposed to be. And if we keep trying to force this, then it's not going to be actually what Destiny is supposed to be. And I've been saying for years now, if you want just gunplay, wait for Marathon or go play Call of Duty. But now it's even starting to be in conversations now where people are turning back on me and going, well, if you want abilities, why don't you go play Mayhem or something? And I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. The game is supposed to be balanced between gunplay and abilities. It is a RPG for a reason. You are supposed to balance these two different elements perfectly. Has Bungie been very successful with that? No, they have not been successful with that at all. They have not cared about it, at least since Beyond Light or around the 30th anniversary. They have not cared extensively to the point that the community was constantly complaining. And there was different outliers like Shatterdive and things of that nature that were constantly having issues. But if they actually have a dedicated PvP team for the future of the game, then we could actually have a balanced sandbox that's separate from the PvE sandbox that we actually can enjoy. But to say that we focus on Checkmate is going to have ramifications for the future of Destiny, where if this mode keeps going well, you're going to see hardcore PvP players say, we want Checkmate Trials, we want Checkmate Comp, and it won't be Destiny anymore. It will be Destiny Call of Duty. And that's not what this game is supposed to be.
It'll be
that's just my thought.
Call of
Asian, I want you to hit me. Let's go.
All right, so I'm going to be devil's advocate now. First and foremost, I want to state this here into the ether so that way everyone knows this. Last week, I have not touched I have not touched Destiny. I've been focused on one personal stuff, and at the same time, I've also been playing another game that's got my hyper focus going on. But I have been listening to the overwhelming community about this because this has been something that has intrigued me. Okay. When they first announced Checkmate, I was like, this is a rare decision by Bungie to kind of go into this direction. They want to focus more on a mode that focuses more on the gunplay and less on the chaos of the abilities, the supers, and the exotics. Now, yes, do they all still have a function within Checkmate? Yes, but not to the degree that we see in the normal PvP sandbox. So
Mhm.
for me, this was an interesting thing. Now I'm not a PvP player. I am solely PvE, but even this intrigued me, and I am going to be testing this out thoroughly over the weekend.
Mhm.
That being said, I've been seeing a lot of people that I respect, a lot of mutuals, a lot of friends going into Checkmate and coming out saying, "Hey, this feels really freaking good. This feels like a great mode." And even yes, some of them have been saying, "Hey, if we could get this in a comp situation with tweaks to the actual game mode, that this is going to be something that's going to be healthy for the PvP sandbox." Now, I get the whole RPG meta and feel. I am 100% for that. But we all can agree that Bungie has had a hard time reining in the freaking chaos that is grenades, melees, class abilities. Because remember, class abilities never existed in D1. It
Right.
was in D2 that they introduced that, and that opened up the freaking the can of worms
Mhm.
that we've been seeing. They've been having trouble between balancing rifts and balancing barriers and balancing dodge. You know, it's been an absolute freaking chaos for the Bungie team. And I'm also going to condemn them because, hey, they were not keeping a freaking PvP team. That's on them. They screwed
Right.
up on that aspect.
Correct.
Mhm.
But we, as players in the community, we have to be understanding Bungie's going to try some things. They're going to try some different ways to engage the PvP community. And this is one of them. And when the overwhelming majority of the community is starting to vocalize and say, "Hey, this feels really good." And looking at the TTK information that Bungie's put out about this tells me two things. And
Mhm.
I know this is one thing that kind of irks you. So, one, the TTK information that we're seeing from Bungie as far as Checkmate, this is information that they could apply into the other game modes within the PvP sandbox, which is
Bad.
not, which to me, I don't feel that it's a bad thing. I feel like this could be a good thing to, as long as it doesn't distract from the game mode. So that being said, it's one of those cases. Would these TTKs fit outside of the Checkmate?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
But then number two, and this is boiling down to both the Checkmate situation and then last week with the deterministic recoil update that they provided in the TWID. This is clearly another example of Bungie kind of like testing some things in the water within Destiny 2 that is they're looking to see, hey, what is fit for Marathon? So it's kind of interesting to see how Bungie is going with this. Um, I am listening and I am paying attention to the PvP side. I am seeing that a lot of people are very happy with Checkmate. There are some people like Panda that are unhappy because it takes a lot of the RPG element out of it.
Yep.
But and I'm gonna throw out this hypothetical, maybe having so much of that RPG element has been part of the overlying issue within the PvP sandbox.
Ooh, spicy.
Maybe too much of a good thing is a
It was a
bad
bad thing.
thing.
Here's my counter to that question.
Mm.
How can
But
we know that too much of a good thing is a bad thing if the sandbox has never been truly balanced? If the
uh,
abilities have not been
Exactly,
have not
exactly.
that's what my biggest issue with it is, yeah. Because
Right.
here's the thing. They're
If
like
we've been trying to balance all these freaking variables, all these different things, and we can't even get them lined up, maybe we need to scale them back, focus on the core, which is we can all agree the core of Destiny 2 is the gunplay. The guns is what makes Destiny.
I
The
disagree, but okay.
The perk rolls,
The core of Destiny is the space fantasy, not the FPS. The core of what Destiny is the RPG elements.
To me, part of the core is the space fantasy. Yes, I will agree with that. That's part of the core.
Yes.
But the core of Destiny is looter shooter, okay? You're chasing after the freaking god roll weapons, okay? We can all agree to that, whether that's through crafting or through the freaking world loot pool or freaking raids, dungeons, etc. You're chasing after that perfect god roll. Because we all know with the perfect barrel, the perfect magazine, the right perks, you're going to have an absolute banger of a weapon going into the Crucible in order to take down someone. And you also know that the TTK with a specific perk setup is going to be better versus someone with the same weapon that has the worst freaking loot setup. Bottom line.
Here's my concern though. Similar to
what I want to kind of add to what Cajun said earlier, right?
Okay.
Like, I think Checkmate is good for Crucible because I don't know if any of you guys remember PvP like 2 to 3 years ago.
I do.
Back before the cutting of like all the content, but legitimately
like around
when
Season of
Crucible
Arrival,
was at its best during the Forsaken era, which a lot of people herald as the best time. Like what they're doing with Checkmate was exactly what Crucible was. Like weapons with these sub 1 second TTKs was few and far between. And you had to have like the perfect god roll to pull that shit off. Like 2 tapping and 3 tapping Guardians was not this like breakneck like norm back in the day. And abilities were even less sporadic back then. Like you were not throwing grenades in every like gunfight. I think they have made the Crucible into Call of Duty to keep people there playing. Because like
but
people
that's not
back
the
in the
answer
day,
to the question though. That's
people
not
back in the
fair
day,
to like
if you want to make
that core
Crucible back
experience
to what it was and bring it back to what people say was the best feeling time of Crucible, like you got to be willing to trim the fat a little. Like I genuinely believe, and this is one of the reasons why I personally don't enjoy the Crucible, is because nobody's playing Destiny anymore. It's ability spam and like weapons that kill before you even have a chance to engage.
Right.
And like truthfully duel each other.
So
like,
here's the thing though.
So
I definitely can get behind the changes to the TTK. That's not a big deal when it comes to the gunplay. That's fine. I think the issue where I come in is the limiting of the abilities too much, if that makes sense. Because if we because that extra, because obviously a friend of the show, Zay Osiris, he was the one that like made the comment. Like when I was talking to him on Facebook, he was like, "Hey, what if like if you want high abilities, you should have to go play Mayhem to get that." And my response is that's the other side of the extreme that I've been saying. Hey, if you want just a gunplay focus, you go play Call of Duty. There should be a balance that is in this game that isn't just, hey, we turn off abilities, we crank up the TTK, and we like forget this is an RPG. That's like look at Apex, look at Overwatch, these different games that thrive in these environments where abilities can function with the gunplay. Why can't Destiny have that? Because Destiny hasn't tried. Destiny hasn't tried to balance those equations. And then like, there's certain people like, oh, there's too many variables. I agree. There's light level. They turned off light level for almost every freaking mode. There's different perks and different things of that nature. But if Apex can do it, if Overwatch can do it, if Titanfall, which is the same thing as Apex pretty much, they can do it, then Destiny should be able to do it too. There should be no reason why we are jeopardizing the RPG elements of the game just because Bungie can't get it right. Like, we shouldn't crank the dial to Mayhem, and we shouldn't crank the dial to the bottom of the floor just because we can't find a middle ground. We need to find the middle ground and keep beta testing the middle ground within Crucible Labs, and not just go crank.
Okay,
we're down at like 2% capacity.
But here's the thing, Panda. Maybe, and I'm going to say this out loud. Maybe this is the starting of the middle ground right here with Checkmate.
This doesn't
It's
feel like a
like-
middle ground, though. It feels like the exact reverse of Mayhem, pretty much, rather, because we're limiting abilities to almost nothing, rather than allowing them to thrive within the gunplay system.
Okay,
That's the issue that I have.
So we've got Mayhem, we've got the extreme version of freaking super and ability spam,
Right.
with less gunplay. And now we've got Checkmate on the opposite end of that spectrum. And this is what I say about beginning of the middle ground. Because now we've got both ends of the spectrum. So now Bungie's like, okay, let's look at the core of Crucible. And let's see what's working and what's not based upon the extreme that is Mayhem and then the other extreme that is Checkmate. And let's begin reining in that sandbox. More than likely, I would not be surprised if within the next season, or if at beginning of freaking Final Shape, we start to see more of a massive overhaul to the Crucible by, grenades being, ability spam being limited or enforced further cooldowns.
Right.
Same thing with class abilities. And then even more limitations on like exotic interactions and such, but they're still there.
Right.
But it's not the massive variable that is the Crucible right now. Exactly. Where you can have a more defined meta. But
my concern is, though, if people are already asking for this to be comp, this to be trials, we're never going to be able to find that middle ground. People are only going to advocate for this new system because they like Call of Duty. They don't like Destiny. They want the Call of Duty aspects of the game rather than the space fantasy. This isn't the game for you if you don't enjoy the space fantasy. I'm sorry to tell you, like, this isn't the game for you. And the sad part is the majority of the community is the people who want that. So Bungie is going to listen to the vocal majority on this one and ignore the people who enjoy the space fantasy. And that's my biggest concern here. Like, the fact that you're already getting feedback from people saying that comp and trials should be Checkmate, it was something I theorized weeks ago when we talked about Checkmate. And I knew this was going to happen, and I knew this was going to be a detriment to the game.
It's not necessarily a detriment. I mean, genuinely,
I don't feel that this is going to be a detriment to the game. Now, only, like I said, I have not had a chance to freaking go jump in and test it. I'm planning on doing it this weekend. But the bottom line is, I don't believe that this is going to be a detriment. Now, could I be wrong if they make changes based upon the feedback that they're getting from Checkmate and it causes the freaking whole PvP community to lose their collective shit? Yeah, that's a possibility. It's also a possibility that they could make changes based off of the information they gain from Checkmate to make the Crucible better. But I'm sad to say, Panda, Bungie is, yes, going to go with the majority of the community,
which sucks.
And because at the end of the day, they heard the community. They heard the community that the PvP sandbox is not in a good position. People are not happy. Okay. They're addressing some of the concerns. They've already got plans for some of the concerns, and they've got a PvP strike team in place now.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, I think the overall community, and this goes for you, this goes for me, this goes for everybody. Bungie is going to do things. The PvP team is going to do things and make changes. And at the end of the day, it's either we have to live with the changes or vote with our wallet or vote with our time and not engage with that content because of the changes that they make.
All I'm saying is I'm gonna give it like 6 months, and then I'm gonna be sitting here like the dude in the D&D skit from Astrology Club, or Astronomy Club, on Netflix, where he's just like sitting in the corporate office going, "I tried to tell y'all, I sent you 245 emails, and you didn't listen." And that's literally gonna be me here in a hot minute, where you're gonna see every PvP person go, "We want Checkmate Trials, we want Checkmate Comp," and then it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be like, wow. This isn't Destiny anymore. This is Space Call of Duty, and it's gonna suck. Tower, I need you to lend an ear to this conversation as the casual of the room.
I don't really have a finger in this because of the fact that I am the casual and I don't touch PvP very often. While I am happy that certain percentage of the community is getting a mode that they've been asking for, I am very cautious, and I kind of have to agree that I'm worried that it's going to become Space Call of Duty, Call of Destiny, as Bearded said in the chat. Like, that's the big thing. That's one of the reasons why I don't play PvP, is because I'm worried that it's just going to be Call of Duty. And I grew up in those lobbies. I don't need that toxicity in my life, again, as an almost 40-year-old person whose child also wants to be able to play PvP eventually. Let my kid be able to not have to deal with toxicity, please.
Right.
Please.
Fair enough. So that's
but but my last bit, I find it funny that everybody, well, not everybody, but some of y'all are saying that, you don't want Destiny to become, Space Call of Duty, but remember, Bungie made Space Call of Duty before.
Right. And
yeah, they did.
It was called Halo.
It's called Halo. You want Space Call of Duty? Go play Halo.
Right. That's what I've been trying to say. It's like, you go play Halo, go play Call of Duty. Like, let Destiny
the Destiny
thrive.
community alone, man.
The crazy thing about this is that I feel like it's already been made into Space Call of Duty. Like, honestly, if you look at the Crucible as it stands today, and you compare it to like your average multiplayer Call of Duty match, they are almost mirror images of each other, with the exception of like the jumping mechanics and maybe some of the ability spam, which I think adds to the feel of the Call of Duty-ness of Crucible right now. Like, genuinely, the TTK is almost exactly the same.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
From Call of Duty, like a couple years ago, during like Forsaken, getting a duel done in like less than 2 seconds was like outrageously good. Like, duels used to take a while. It wasn't the first person to see the guy wins. It wasn't sub 1 second, sub half a second TTKs. Weapons weren't so powerful. Abilities weren't so egregiously like spammed everywhere.
Right.
You turn a corner, you get naded, you get like blasted by some exotic. Exotics actually meant something because they changed how you interacted with the game. But now everybody's running around with oil.
Well, and to balance off that, too, the other thing is, like, we've noticed since the Forsaken era forward, you've seen people, when it comes to like things like barricades, people say barricades slow down engagements. You've gotten too used to these below 1 second TTKs, and you got used to your hand cannon and shotgun meta, where you ran around like a crackhead and just like beat people up. When in reality, that's not what the game was. And when people slow you down with the barricade and tell you to slow down, play the RPG, you're like, no, I don't like that. Why? Because I want my Space Call of Duty. No. That's my answer to that. You can't have it. That's why I keep trying to tell people. But here in a minute, I'm gonna be the freaking dude from Astronomy Club going, I tried to tell y'all, because this is what's going down, and it's so frustrating to see, because I love PvP. I love going to PvP. I love having like great engagements. One of the biggest reasons why I my KD looks like crap half the time is I be trying to have clean as hell duels with people, but then third party rolls up like their partner or somebody and shoots me and kills me mid duel when I would have had the shot, and it's frustrating. And then people are like, oh, you just need to get good. Oh, you want me to like pull out a third hand and shoot this other guy too? Like, no, it's frustrating. And it's like, when I try to explain that to people, they're like, just get good. It's like, no. The game is balanced when gunplay and abilities are balanced and they thrive, not crank one end or crank the other. We need to find the balance. We need the PvP avatar to come down and balance the universe, because apparently the PvP community doesn't understand this.
But here's the thing: balance takes time. Balance is not achieved overnight, and sometimes it takes going from one extreme to the other to find that middle ground. So we've had mayhem for quite some time, and now Checkmate just enters into the lab for the first time.
I'm just real worried.
You know, we to use the analogy, we have to let it cook. We have to let it cook.
I'm just real worried, man.
Okay, look, we've talked about this. You know, it's either good or bad is going to come out of this at the end of the day. You know, that's the bottom line. I'm actually, like I said, I'm actually pleased to hear that a lot of people within the community are accepting of Checkmate. And like I said, I plan on going to give it a full freaking, good effort this weekend to see, hey, what is this? Is this for me? Is this my freaking cup of tea? And if it's not, hey, I'm going to give Bungie some feedback. I'm going to freaking say, hey, this is where I find it lacking. I've already seen what, some people's minor issues with the gameplay as far as the mode, like, hey, can we change this? Can we adjust this? Outside of that, I'm going to go in with open mind because it's like, if Bungie freaking does this right, could they, as we've seen on both ends, could they find that middle ground within the next season or two?
I agree.
I'm just gonna be Negrodamus for a minute and just like put that thought out there.
You know what? Sometimes we have to eat our fucking veggies before we get the freaking main course.
I'm just gonna be Negrodamus for a minute and put it in the ether. I'm gonna put it in the ether and be like, I have spoken truth. This will be in 6 months. Trials Checkmate will be a thing, and Panda will have been right. And I will be bitching and moaning constantly about comp and Trials being Checkmate. And I'll be like, y'all should have listened to me then, and now you didn't listen to me, and look what happened. That's all I'm gonna say. Now,
wouldn't that actually, this is just like a thought though, but wouldn't that make sense in a sense? Because Checkmate is designed to be a competitive mode, to make people get out of their bad habits, and then you put the competitive game style.
They need to find a balance for Destiny. That way, Destiny can be competitive in the form that it's meant to be in. That's the whole point of the game balance of RPG elements and FPS. You're what I keep hearing from you guys and people on Twitter is we should just go to nothing because Bungie can't get it right. And that's not the answer. I'm asking for a balance. And it's
I'm not saying they need to go to nothing. I'm saying, hey, sometimes we gotta start there, aka Checkmate, to see, hey, like I said earlier, we're seeing both ends of the spectrum now.
Right. I'm just it's gonna be quite literally Lightfall episode 1, Checkmate Trials, Checkmate Comp, and then we never see normalization of PvP ever again, and it's gonna be stupid. I foresee it in the future. I am Raven Baxter right now. It's happening.
I don't think
I see it this way. This is my genuine opinion, right? And that is we're talking about the RPG aspect of the game right now, right? But in Crucible right now, there is no RPG. It's literally just you don't need a build, you don't need an approach, you don't need a play style. You literally just grab meta weapon and then run rampant, run wild. Your weapons do all the work. Do we gotta go back to Season of the Lost, where that one main ingredient was enough to solo an entire
hated it so much. Hated it so much.
Your build as of right now does not really
Bungie
mean
take hit scan away from fusion rifles. I said what I said.
If we go into something a little bit more like Checkmate,
no regrets.
We slow it down. We break down the ability spam and the weapons, and you force people to have a game plan before they start shooting. I think that would actually be pretty good for the game. Now, am I saying make everything fucking Checkmate? No. I wish that people would stop playing the game like everything is just fucking Slayer. But hey, that's a conversation for a different day. But growth comes with change.
That's PvP in every game, 100%.
Yeah.
It's stat chasers. That's what it is. It's freaking stat chasers.
So and like it's very like I've said my piece, but like and I feel like I'm the contrarian from Once Not Davis, so I'll shut up about it and just put my Negro Damas hat on for the next few months. But from here on out, the rest of the tweet was pretty cool. So Gunsmith focusing enters the chat.
Let's go.
So what basically what they're doing is they're saying, hey, we're gonna take all these different foundry weapons out of the world loot pool. Because the world loot pool's too damn big, and we're gonna make it so like every day, Banshee is gonna have different focusing for different things. And my response, and like there's gonna be Suros weapons, Hake weapons, Vice weapons, Amalon weapons, and when season 24 starts, they're gonna they're gonna be actually this starts in 23. So they're gonna be rotating out where like day 1 is Amalon Suros, day 2 is Suros Hake, day 3 is Hake Vice, day 4 is Vice Amalon, and like it's gonna keep rotating every day. But here's my issue with this: they're saying it's gonna cost 3 gunsmith engrams and 5,000 glimmer to make a gun.
Right.
Here's my issue: you have things like the syncopation that's already craftable. You have things like Katana and Fugue and Staccato and Pizzicato, and there's things like the Vice weapons. You have the Crate, the Funnel Web, the Lunalata, and the Taipan. And then you go over to Amalon where you get things like the Typhon, the Ogma, and the Snorri, and the Amit that have huge perk pools. Bungie actually found the correct way to do this in Season of the Plunder, where you just had a vendor that you spent 1 Umbral Engram for 1 weapon with some shards and some glimmer. But they're like, oh, well, we're getting original legendary shards. You shouldn't be getting rid of legendary shards, but that's a whole different debacle. Like, they're kind of doing a whole different thing where they're like, hey, we're going to make it so, freaking... like doing law sectors gives you Banshee level rank up progress for those engrams along with dismantling weapons, because truth be told, dismantling weapons with Banshee like gives you next to no progress and it's stupid. But at the same time, I would argue that keep the guns at 1 engram unless you're going to introduce new guns or bring back old guns from pre-Beyond Light and be like, hey, this is a good way for you to go through. But I mean, like because the fact of the perk pools are so damn huge. You look at Funnel Web. You know how many people are still searching for a God Roll Funnel Web? You know how many people are like searching for like a God Roll Fugue sniper rifle still because it's actually a really underrated sniper rifle. Like it sucks. So when Bungie's like, "Hey, we're gonna make a couple different avenues for you to get more rank," but then like not make it more accessible, you're gonna have these people who like we're kind of already dealing with it right now with legacy focusing, with that being so expensive. It's about to get more expensive because they're getting rid of legendary shards, where different new players are coming in and going, hey, where did you get that gun? I want to go get that gun. You tell them to go over here, and they're like, well, I don't want to play Gambit. I don't want to play Crucible to go get that gun. I don't different people I've been like teaching Crota. They're like, hey, where did you get that Riptide? I'm like, oh, I spent like 30 some odd engrams over at Shack's. They're like, well, I don't play PvP. Well, it's like tough nuts. Like you don't get anything, and it's like that sucks on a fundamental level because those like the vendor perk pools are so huge that it takes forever to get those rolls. So I think if Bungie is going to do this, they need to reevaluate how many engrams it is and reevaluate the perk pools of all these different guns. Because am I excited for next season for a more accessible world loot pool? Yeah, because there's different guns like the new sidearm and a couple other things that are super hot right now that I would love to get in on, but I can't really get them because how big the world loot pool is. But at the same time, the perk pools for these different guns are so huge that it's going to be even more inaccessible for new players. David, your thoughts?
That's about how it works. Like, I'm just kind of tired of having to play shit that I don't want to play just to get stuff that I want, just so that I can go actually spend time in the playlist I want to spend time in. Like, I hate having to be shepherded into content so that other people can have fun. Genuinely, I wish Bungie would stop that, but I know that that's what keeps this game moving.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, I guess. I'll just deal with it. But I think that getting rid of like legendary shards, ground A move, so now that new players can actually have a chance to get stuff, and making it to where like not Bungie, but fucking Banshee takes engrams that you can get a multitude of different ways. Like if that's just going to a patrol zone and farming fucking chests to get them, like I feel like that's something that new players can spend their time doing. And while they spend their time doing it, they'll be actually learning how to play the game, actively engaging with the game. I think that's actually pretty solid.
But I still think it's too many engrams. I'm just saying.
And like,
I would be okay with this
that.
if it was 1 engram per gun. Like genuinely, especially if they're like, because truth be told, when was the last time a world drop was super great besides the new sidearm for some people? Not really. Like Funnel Web was kind of hot when Witch Queen first dropped, and like Taipan was competitive because it was a free craftable. But when was the last time a world drop was super hot? Not really. So if you're giving these world drops that are kind of like upper mid tier for newer players, why not make them 1 engram, especially when the loot pools are so big? Make it 1 engram. Like 1 engram or like 5,000-10,000 glimmer. Just be done with it. Cage, your thoughts?
I would say that they need to put in a mechanic like if you invest so much time with like let's say Banshee to where you get to a certain rank, it reduces the cost of the engram.
Like if you reset one time or something like
exactly.
that.
Exactly. To me, that feels like that would be a worthwhile player investment. So it's like, hey, yeah, grind out with Banshee, freaking work with him, get the freaking reset. Now it's going to require, it's going to drop from 3 to 1. So then at that point, yeah, to me, I feel like that would be a good overall for player health. That would be good overall for the community, especially those considering the avenues that we're going to be able to get these engrams.
Yeah.
I think that would be good overall to where you're not required to like heavily farm in order to stock up on all these engrams just to go freaking spend and like you said, freaking potentially getting a shit roll. Because I won't lie, there's like right now, there's a couple of freaking weapons in the freaking world loot pool that I want to get. Like if I could find a better roll of, oh, absolutely, I'm down for it. There's a
like that
fusion
new
rifle.
stasis pulse rifle I'm really hot. The new Strand fusion rifle that's actually really
the Strand fusion
good.
rifle with the freaking origin trait.
Sexy.
That is freaking really interesting. And I'm like, if I can get a better roll, and I need to research that a little bit more. If I can get the roll that I want, that's going to be freaking awesome. As far as like, I can actually put Riptide away and say like, hey, here's another fusion rifle I can utilize for some of my Strand builds.
Right. So that is definitely interesting. Tower, how you feel about Banshee getting new shit? I think Tower's dead.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Tower.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I totally forgot that I was muted. So on the one hand, I'm glad that there's another way for people to be able to get weapons that they may want and roles that they may want. On the other hand, like, I don't know. I don't see too much of a use in it because I personally wouldn't be using it, honestly. But that's just me. I'm not going to deny other people the chance to get weapons that they want, though. Have at it. Enjoy
why
yourselves.
wouldn't you use it, though? Why wouldn't you use it?
I rarely ever go to Banshee in the first place. I don't go to him unless I'm looking for upgrade mods and
them cores
exotic quests.
Them cores you broke on?
Man, I get my cores from dismantling shit. I don't know what the hell you're talking
cores
about.
that you broke on?
I'm not broke on
I'm only
cores.
go get my cores, from what's her name? Fucking Ada.
Yeah,
In
you can
one.
get cores from Ada too. So like, anyways, but still, I'm not going to deny people the chance to, to do something that's going to make them happy and be able to get the weapons that they want. You want weapons that Banshee is handing out. Please have fun. You have my
Right.
full, with my whole chest, my support.
Your whole chest. The whole chest.
Whole
All right, cool.
ass chest.
All right.
Enjoy.
So little bit of mix, but some good there. All right, cool. So there really wasn't a whole lot in the 12 this week. There was some error codes. There was some cool community stuff. So definitely check that out on the Twid if you're interested in that. I said 12, even though I meant Twid, but it's cool. It's cool. But
I don't think
like
we're ever gonna get away from calling it the twab.
I know, right?
Nope.
It's a way of life. But we're gonna go ahead and dive into some different community questions. As we know, there were some folks that wanted their stuff answered and whatnot. Since Bearded Reaper since Bearded Reaper's in the chat, I'm gonna let Cajun intro this question real quick.
All right, so this is also a joke from my community as well. Just FYI. So Bearded Reaper came into my community, and we were doing Ghost of the Deep. And this is when I discovered how vastly different people's freaking names for symbols are. So Bearded Reaper called out a symbol and he called it Jiraiya. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, it looks like Jiraiya from when he got killed in Naruto. And I was like, you freaking didn't. So Panda, I sent you the freaking image if you want to pop that up.
So here for clarification, here are the actual like rune symbols that are in the game. Like that, and we're gonna go over them and whatnot. We're gonna ignore the call out. I just pulled this off of Google real quick. But in terms of what Cajun is talking about, let me grab this real quick because oh boy, this is
some of them ain't bad, but then there's three. It's like, why?
Oh no, Cajun! Just your reaction,
it's safe
bro.
for work, but it's also like, oh god, why?
And I'm just saying, for all you anime fans, this is gonna hurt.
All right, so it is on screen for the Twitch chat. It's on screen for the Twitch chat.
So first off, yeah, like I said, Jiraiya, it was like, dude, why? And then he's like, oh yeah, this one's called Nina. I was like, you asshole! Why?
No, Nina.
And then Rengoku. Then when he did Rengoku, I was like, when he did Rengoku, I was like, nah, bruh. You've lost your freaking card. You're not allowed to do call outs.
Bye. No. You can keep that to yourself. Fucking making Nina a call out. How very dare you?
All right. So that was
my poor baby.
So that was the crazy antics of Bearded Reaper in the chat. But for sake of, I want to clarify my call outs because I'm a rational human being for the majority of life here. So, what is commonly reflected as like matter of fact, like I'll just go off of what he put in the chat real quick. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm gonna put his thing back up real quick.
Hush, Bearded.
So what he calls pizza is ice cream cone. I don't care what anybody says.
It's a pizza.
It's an ice cream cone.
It's an ice cream cone. It's a stuffed crust. All right.
No, it is ice cream, sir. It is ice cream.
It is an ice cream cone, though.
The one that is called Nina is a crab. I'm sorry, I don't care. I've always called it crab.
I call it turret. I call it turret.
That's fair. Turret's acceptable. Rengoku is hamburger. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes, if you call that circle, I don't know what's wrong with you, but that's not a circle.
Division is hot dog.
I've heard it called one other thing, and it literally made me question the community so bad.
I'm concerned.
Oh God. Even I'm concerned.
Sideways lesbian.
Oh my God.
I was like,
as the local bi woman in the chat, how very dare.
Anyway, The one that's called Division, I call friggin' hot dog, because if you grew up in the hood, you had hot dogs on white bread, so you know what that looks like. I'm sorry, I don't care what
Oh
anybody
my
says.
God. Okay,
I
I
just-
get it now. I fucking get it now.
Like everyone's always like, "Oh my God, that's a burger or something like that." No, it's a hot dog. If you grew up in the
It's a
hood,
hot dog
it's a
So
hot
I've
dog.
always called it five
between
lines.
two slices
but
of white bread.
Now,
Oh my
now
God.
I'm gonna call it freaking hot dog. Holy
Like
shit!
it makes perfect sense. The one that's called books, the one that's called books, that's called table. The one that's spider is spider. I don't care what Tower says. It's spider. And then
That was
the other one
British.
it's spider.
So
Books is
okay,
spider.
so Jiraiya, I can't remember who said it, but someone called it Patrick Star one time.
I'm okay
And
with that.
You
I'm
look
okay
at
with
it,
that.
you
Yeah.
look at it, and you see the Patrick Star in the
Yeah,
fishnets.
that's fair.
And
That's
it's
fair.
like,
I can respect that.
okay, it's Patrick.
At the
See, like-
fishnets. Oh my God! You had
Oh,
Dude,
me
have you not,
with it.
Tispa, have you
I
not
love
seen
that.
Oh
that?
my
About the movie,
God!
man,
I know
it was
exactly
legendary.
what you're talking
But like,
about.
see, sometimes I'll like, because like it's the Dark Souls person to me will call Jiraiya spider, and then call friggin' the actual spider symbol the spider from Dark Souls 2 because it had two heads. That's just me. But like, and then 3 books that is called table with some dots on it. I don't know. Like I'm like I don't have a design for every symbol, but that's just
I just call that one 3 dots.
So you know that was the
That
that
one's
was
hive
the
spider, 'cause
community
it's got
fucking
3
hive
eyes.
here.
that
It's
was the
hive
community
spider
questionnaire on the
because it's got
symbols.
3 eyes.
All right, so let me look at the questions that we were asked real quick here
All
over
right.
here because we're giving Discord. If you're not in the podcast Discord, we can drop it in the chats. But the Discord gets priority on the questions, so we'll start there.
All
One
right.
person.
So
Let me scroll up here real quick.
ooh.
So the one that I want to start with, the person wanted to stay anonymous, but we're gonna definitely go through this real quick. So person asked, "What is your GM horror story?" And man, oh man, you know, I wish I could put it on screen. Actually, matter of fact, I ain't gonna do it. So this is less of a horror story and more of a great moment in the adventures of Panda and Deva, where Lightblade had rotated back in, and me, friggin' Deva, and our other co-host Alchemy, who's been on vacay, we went into Lightblade. We cleared the first area, like no big deal. And keep in mind, this is like our 6th or 7th attempt because we've been getting frustrated and kept dying at a la cool. But like we're just going through the motions, going inside, and we got to the opening area, and then we went down the corridor. And then we popped a squat in a certain area, like hiding on the staircase in the second like giant room where all the Lucent Hive are. And the Void Titan Lucent Brood just chucks his Captain America shield off the wall, hits Alchemy, and then against the wall again and kills me and Deva. And all you hear Deva go is, "What?" And it was the funniest thing I have ever had happen at a GM, bar none. Where we thought we were the shit. We thought we were ready to rock. We had 100 resilience, mods, all equipped, ready to rock. And then this one,
There's no way
He
light
said
just
nope.
took us
an America
out.
motherfucker can pull that shit off. The laws of physics don't matter. Like, because if you had seen it from my perspective, that shield was like at the ceiling, and then magically I was dead, and I was like,
It was so funny.
"How?
It was.
How sweet?" And like, if it had just killed me, I'd be like, "Okay, the game just fucked me." They were on some like real fuck shit, and they made it like do like a 90-degree turn and aim straight for me. The guidance missile system knows where it is because it knows where it isn't type shit. But then it like Panda was dead too, and I'm like, this don't make sense. So did it bounce off me and it hit him? What in the Tron madness?
So that was definitely a great memory for me. KJ,
That
what is your
not
GM
even
horror
my worst
story?
one.
So this is, I think, what a lot of people are going to resonate with.
Ooh, here we go.
So the first time I
Here
ever
comes
did a
the mini
GM,
screens.
a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, go ahead and just LFG for it. This one's fairly easy, right?" So the first time I've ever done a GM before, so I did an LFG, and we're going through, and I won't lie, I was by far the noob. I was dying to so much dumb shit. But eventually I started like reining it in, keep staying back, going slow. But apparently I was going too slow for my other people.
What GM was it?
I'll be honest, it was such a long time ago. I forgot which one it was.
Okay.
So we end up getting to the boss. We defeat the boss. Just before the boss dies, I'm back in orbit. They kicked me from freaking GM. Yeah.
What?
Ooh.
Why?
That's
bullshit.
messed up.
So
I heard that from many people,
so
I've never experienced it.
So when I went to go, whisper them and say, "Hey, why was I kicked?" They had blocked me.
That's whack.
No,
that's
see,
so
that's
whack.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's whack. I'm not down with that.
That's
right,
absolutely not okay.
I hate when people do that kind
That's
of shit.
messed up. David, what is your actual GM horror story?
Actual horror story?
Yes.
Well, all right, let me set the stage for you guys. You
All
guys,
right.
you won't believe me if you're new. We're taking it back. Back in the day, when GMs were actually difficult, right?
GMs are still difficult, boy. What are you talking about?
Look, when they were actually difficult and they had fun modifiers, not this like cookie cutter madness. Like they actually changed little small, teeny tiny little things. Let me take you back to the days of the mini screen.
Oh
yes!
A screen the size of a teeny tiny ant. You could barely see it if you were trying to look at it. Teeny tiny little motherfuckers.
And they crawled all over the walls and ceilings. Oh, they were the worst.
Like, this was the Fanatic. Just so you have an idea, we're on like the Tangled Shore. You know how many like crevices there are for these little motherfuckers?
Yes.
I digress. So you're right here. You make it to the boss room, and the boss, you're on the third like invulnerability phase, and the Fanatics got you like strung up in the air, and you gotta break his shield, right? Boom.
Right.
You break his shield, and your Titan goes for the goddamn T-Crash. Boom. He hits the T-Crash, and then he comes back, and your Warlock prepares to drop the well. Midway, as he's dropping the well on the stairs, the mini scream rears its ugly head. He's like, "You thought you had some, huh?" Boom. Whole squad dead. The entire team wiped us by the mini screen. And I sat there and I was like, we had cleared all the ads. I dropped the tether. The tether had all the rest of the ads. So we were clear. It was about to be a dub. And it was the mini screen. Remember this, kids, when you sleep at home at night? It's
the mini scream will haunt
really
you. Like y'all thought the giant scream that Bungie put on Twitter was scary. Nah, the mini scream. The mini scream.
Because they hunt in packs, yo. You think a regular scream hunting in packs is bad? The mini screebs, like you would hit a single regular screeb, like in the freaking was it the spooky ship? You would hit a regular mini screeb or a regular screeb, and then it would, when you exploded it, it turned into 20 mini screebs.
Yep.
That was my favorite part about Master Presence.
That was scary.
Oh, it was the worst, but it was so funny.
When I tell you Tiku's divination,
saves
me
lives.
And Tiku's got a very special relationship. It might not be my favorite bow, but I'll always have respect for it.
Because
mini screams.
I tell you what, the mini screams, man. Like, look, you had to take it so slow and be so careful, but be ready to scream move, because when you see it, they move like cockroaches. I promise you.
Oh my God,
they're everywhere.
They did.
They're everywhere.
The PTSD.
All right.
Oh my God.
Okay, so moving on from there, I know what Tower's worst memory was freaking yesterday. or the day before last. That was her worst because we went to Mars for like 4 hours of Mars. But
Yes.
so Paz Nation, like in the Discord, like asked, friggin' the question is about LFG posts, specifically thoughts on know what to do posts and teaching posts. I see both sides sometimes. I don't have time to teach, so I will put up a know what to do. But when I have time, I do teaching runs. I know some creators have banned know what to do raid posts, and I was just curious on your thoughts. So it's funny because I actually made a friggin' a TikTok video about this the other day where I was like, I am so sick of know what to do, but I understand it. That's the hard part. Where it's like, if you just want to get shit done because you want an easy run, because you've had a hard day, just want to ball out with your boys or people on your skill level, I get it. I get it. But the amount of people in the community that still, the percentage of people to this day that have never raided is insanity to me. And it's like, sometimes you gotta just like crack open a Red Bull and get to work when it comes to, to teaching people. It's like, and the critique that I get from people sometimes is you we just want to we don't want to have to teach and have to be like there for hours to carry somebody. But the thing about it is, you have to actually be able to like how can you say you want people who know what to do if people aren't taught to know what to do, if that makes sense? Like there should be an equal split of your time between know what to do posts and teaching posts, and not enough people are doing teaching posts where you have this lack of community. And one person even said in my comment section, they're like, well, why doesn't the person put up a, hey, teach me LFG? I'm like, that's a stupid thing to say. Like, why should they have to beg? Why should they have to beg for someone to come into their LFG and teach them? Hell, there's times where people will all join up in an LFG and none of them have ever done it before. They're hoping one of these motherfuckers knows what they're doing, and none of them know what to do. It sucks.
That's the reason why I don't respect the know what to do posts, is because the motherfucker that puts up know what to do is probably the person that doesn't know how to do anything.
Yeah,
that's why Ron disease is a thing, Dava.
You just hit the nail on the head there, Dava.
You know, Dava, you know what I find real funny? You know what I find real motherfucking funny? Is you just had the gall to say that after I have coined Ron disease or Ron sickness. It literally is the bane of this community, where Ron fundamentally taught people you don't have to learn in a raid. You don't have to learn anything in a raid because there's not enough jobs for you to do in this raid. And you have fought me on this, but then you go and agree with me. Look at you. Look at you.
I didn't agree with you. My point remains the same. Like, I still believe that it's totally Ron's not that bad. You coined it as Ron syndrome. I think
it's Ron syndrome.
Played rating for years before Ron, before what was the hell name of the goddamn raid? Deep Stone. Hell, I would go as far back as to say, what the hell is the name of the goddamn raid? Garden of Salvation. Had it really
hell,
bad.
I'd go as far back as to say
don't you touch my baby.
Leviathan.
Don't you touch my garden, baby.
Leviathan.
Garden is my life.
I forgot about Leviathan. You know what?
Leviathan, you only needed 2 people to do mechanics.
I saw it happen.
Yeah, Leviathan was the worst.
You only ever needed Leviathan base raid. You only ever needed 2 people to do mechanics. Yep. Now, granted, Spire of Stars, Eater of Worlds, those encounters were different. You did need to have someone to teach you mechanics. However, just base Leviathan, 2 people. That's all you ever need. I went through it 5 times.
Yeah, I never played Leviathan, but I've seen the clips. So I can verify what you're saying.
Add clear, by the way.
And the thing about it is, like, that's why I say Ron disease, because if Ron didn't originate it, it amplified it. It was like the mutation of the germ, where it became the worser thing, or the more worse thing for the community, where you were actively bluntly told, even though like 2 people can do most of the jobs, now you don't have to do a job, because fundamentally, who has to do a job in First Encounter of Ron? 2 people. One to play connect the dots, one person to kill the scions, and that same one person to kill the scions can kill the tormentor. What do you do in second encounter? 2 people play connect the dots. What do you do in third encounter? 4 people. Oh my god, 4 people. 4 people have to play freaking apples to apples with planets, and then you do DPS. But in reality, if you're fast enough, to only 2 people, if not 1 person, can do it. Freaking Nezarek, 3 people have a job, and 3 people are on ad clear because you have 2 connect the dots people and 1 person getting gaze. Granted, did Bungie probably intend for like 2 people to get gaze because gaze is a pain in the rear end? Yes, but I don't subscribe to the Davis theory of like Bungie like wanted you to have multiple runners for those encounters because it's so difficult to get people to like to keep that like the light or darkness rings around the platforms when you add too many people to the equation. I genuinely think Bungie made Ron in contest mode and thought this was the shit. We balling, we having a great time, but then it was like, oh, we turned the dial down too hard, and now it's too easy of a raid unless you're like tower and can't get through the middle jumping puzzle. But other than that, it's like that's the one like difficult thing for most people. But other than that, Ron is so simple that there's so many memes of LFGs going know what to do, and then one person joins and goes, "Hey, can you do running?" And then no one else knows what to do. And that's why I will defiantly say Ron Syndrome and Ron as a raid, it was so much of a detriment to the community. And then Crota came in and smacked everybody upside the head and said, hey, yo, this is what a raid is supposed to be. Because first encounter, you cannot solo it. It is fundamentally impossible. Granted, did me, Alchemy, and another member of our clan figure out you could trio it? Yes. But you cannot solo it. It is fundamentally impossible for you to solo it. That's how every raid encounter should be, where it is fundamentally impossible for you to solo it, where everybody has a job, where everybody has a fundamental thing going on. And if you can't build your raid, and that's a failure on Bungie, not a failure on the community, because Bungie should be creating new ideas and new things to make the raid be interesting, where someone like a group of people shouldn't have flawless your raid on contest mode on day 1, i.e. Ron. So that's my 2 cents. I think that know what to do posts are innately toxic, but I understand sometimes we want to just ball out with the homies. I understand that. But at the same time, there needs to be a balance between know what to do time and teaching time. There needs to be more teaching. That way more people know what to do. I have spoken.
So when it comes to the know what to do post situation, here's the thing. I understand it to a degree. I understand that, people's time is their time and, they want to play and be able to get shit done. Those that want to learn the game, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that too. And you do deserve the chance to learn. There are Discords out there that are freaking great for new players to learn, as well as veteran players to be able to get out there and learn the content that they want to learn. And each Discord is well within their right to set rules and set boundaries. If they do not want to, if they don't want know what to do post, that's on them. Bottom line. And let's be honest, next season when the LFG system comes into Destiny 2, this situation is going to get a little bit more exacerbated, and we're going to see this even more.
It's going to get so much worse. It's going to get so much worse.
But at the same time, for a lot of us more veteran players, get ready. We're going to see a lot more people wanting to do the content, wanting to do the raids. But this is where I'm going to give the warning out to all the new lights, all the returning players.
Ooh, I should have touched on that.
Haven't put out that freaking effort.
I should have said something about that. Yep.
If you are going in there with blues, if you're going in there with bare minimal gear, I would say not even 70 resilience. Get ready. People are going to look at you and say, you're going to be struggling with this. Yep. You're literally going to be a carry. You're not going to be learning very much. When you're doing raids, that is considered end game content, meaning it's going to take coordination, it's going to take teamwork, and it's also going to take for you as a player to have some skill. Now, some of that can be taught, but the other half, like, you need to have a good understanding of your character, of your class, of your weapons in order to be functional as a member of that team.
And
If
it's
you're
like
not to that level, don't attempt it.
And it's like I'll even agree with him in a big way there, because I dealt with this recently with a Crota I did this past week, where I had people who had no masterwork gear, barely any weapons, things of that nature. Didn't have anything near masterwork on their armor. They had like 7s across the board in some cases. And it was a struggle where we had to compensate in certain areas, but we still got it done. You can be less of a detriment to your team if you put the work in. You have to put the work in to make yourself a valuable member of a team. That way less people are like less crappy people are going to kick you. You should literally be able to work hard at the game and have what you need and not be a detriment to your team. And this isn't me calling out anybody specifically, but I'm trying to like emphasize this is important to know, because you don't want to be a detriment to your team. You don't want to have people kick you because you're like, you may be new, but you should do the bare minimum. Like I always say, I hate saying get good. I'm saying you should put forward enough effort to play the content. Because if you're not playing the content and you just want to carry, or you just want people to haul you through the content, you're not learning anything. You're not doing anything beneficial to your team. And that's not healthy for the game overall, because that creates a mentality of people who just beg and then get the loot and then have no idea what to do with it, or if it's good or not. And that's not what you should be doing. You should be doing research on YouTube videos. Like well, I always tell people, hey, it's from a couple seasons ago, but Fallout Plays this crazy video where he went over like in detail of what every perk did in the game is very beneficial. You should be looking at different resources like GG. You should be looking at D2 Foundry. The creator of D2 Foundry is a friend of the podcast. You should be like looking at these different resources and going and putting the effort forward, because if you're not, you are going to be a detriment to your team. It's and like as Bearded Ripper even said in the chat just now, it's not get good, it's do better. Do better than just play the game and not do anything. Because I even had a dude one time who came into a Garden of Salvation div run, and I said, hey, just put on a void weapon, that way you can break the Minotaur shields. He pulled out a sunsetted Aikilos hand cannon from Beyond Light. And I was like,
"Oh man, that's
and I was like, you have no other.
That's an antique, yeah.
And I was like, you have no other void weapons? And he went, no, I have no other void weapons. Why? Because I cleaned out my vault today because I didn't think any of it was good. No. Ask questions. Do research. The amount of times that I've had people come to me and say, hey, I deleted, or I'll say, hey, put this on. I don't have that. Why? I deleted it. Why? Like, you should have the bare minimum of certain things, because I'm somebody that will never kick you like Yalahorn or kick or something like that. I'm someone that'll go to like a Rolodex of like, do you have this, do you have this, do you have this, da. We figure it out. But if you're saying you delete everything and you leave me with no other options, that's concerning. You have to be able to learn things about this game, or you are going to be a detriment to your team. So please, heed that warning with that, please.
But I'll add this to that, to swing that pendulum the other way, right? And this is something that a lot of people don't hear enough. Players optimize the fun out of the game. You do not always need the best tool for the job, as long as you have a tool for the job. That's what matters. And a big part of this community is legitimately just, oh, you don't have this? Oh, you don't have this? Oh, well, this is going to make it take forever. And because I don't feel like wasting a bunch of time getting it done, then I would rather just find someone else so that we can speed this up, because of time matters. I've heard that quite a lot. So just as much as new light players need to work at making sure they have the tools to get stuff done, I think veteran players need to give grace and
most definitely.
patient
to a certain extent, most definitely,
to help them get it done.
But it's like even freaking Sweatsickle made a video to like a couple days ago where he said, well, can a new light within 24 hours be ready for Crota's End? And he went through like every step of what you can do. Granted, a new player can't do that, but an experienced player on like a new light account probably, if you put the right thing into it. So it's like that kind of guide can teach people. You have to because here's the thing: we've talked about it multiple times on the podcast. Bungie is their worst enemy when it comes to not teaching new lights how to do things, and you have to put a little bit more effort in than Bungie in some aspects. So you have to be able to put that extra step forward on that. All right, let me take a look here and see what some other questions were. Okay, Cage, you got a question from somebody?
1 second, I freaking accidentally closed out.
How dare you? I got one pulled up. Why not? Do you find Destiny 2 as fun as the D1 days?
For me, honestly, I find it better than Destiny 1.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
There's been a lot of evolution to the game. There's been a lot, I would say, more ease into what as far as the systems. Now, some of that ease may not be to the liking of some. At the same time, when we look back at certain things like older games, we tend to look at it with rose-tinted glasses. We look at it with nostalgia. So, did I have fun back in my D1 days? Oh yeah, I had some blast. I had a clan when during the Taken King that allowed me to do my first ever raid. I got to do freaking King's Fall. That was an absolute blast. We got to do it multiple times. But outside of the raid, I never really got to do any other really group or social activities because I just couldn't find people to want to do the content with me. And even then, I still didn't have a firm understanding of like the systems in D1. Now, when D2 came around, there was definitely a lot better. To me, at the beginning launch, it was about the same ish with D1. They were doing some things better, but since launch, Destiny 2 has gotten so much better to the point where coming back from a 2-year hiatus on this game and even seeing that jump in that 2 years, right now, this is the most fun I've ever had with Destiny 2 as a whole. This is also me doing some of the hardest content I've ever done. I'm doing GMs regularly. I'm doing freaking raids a lot more often. I'm doing, dungeons. I'm doing, hell, going into Gambit, having freaking fun, believe it or not.
Yes. Another convert.
So I am going to quote another great space fantasy genre and take a quote from one of my favorite new characters, Jedi Master Balin Skull. I miss the idea of it, but not the truth. The reason why I say that is because I miss the hype. I miss the intrigue, the beginnings and whatnot. I miss Bungie experimenting. I miss Bungie being more focused on the game and the narrative rather than the financial aspect of it. I miss Bungie willing to take risks. Even that even goes for like Destiny Year 1 with things like Whisper and things of that nature. I miss the Destiny that wasn't afraid to take leaps and impress people and innovate the genre. But I don't miss double primaries in early in vanilla D2. I don't miss having to go pick up weapon crates in PvP in D1. I don't miss like the horror like the really old system. I went back and played D1 recently, and just the slowness. Do you know how long it takes to get on a Sparrow in D1?
Oh
my God!
Oh,
like
geez.
there's something.
And then you have to wait for it to respawn.
Do you know
after it gets destroyed
there's no access to a map at the tower in D1? You have to
There's
wander
no
around.
fast travel points either.
There's no fast travel points. Now, I will say, I don't know if this is just an FOV thing or like a detail thing, but I believe the map design and the graphic fidelity of places like the Cosmodrome were prettier in D1. Because if you look at the Cosmodrome, like the feel and the intrigue of it compared to D2, it feels totally different. If you feel so like it probably because like the FOV was smaller and the graphic fidelity was a little bit tighter, but it felt more like dangerous, like Bioshock, where like danger around every corner and whatnot. That first time you wander up the stairs in the Cosmodrome and you find the hive, felt like scary as hell. The first time you go to the moon and things of that nature. But when you go to the moon now or go to the Cosmodrome now, they feel like more like play sets rather than planets to discover. That's why I've been a big critic about getting rid of planetary materials. The planets just feel like play sets on Disney Infinity rather than feeling like real places.
Mhm.
And that's the one drawback from D1 that I miss. But in terms of the innovations, I definitely agree with Cajun that I enjoy the innovation of D2, but I do miss the idea of Destiny 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. Like for
Yeah,
me,
that's absolutely fair.
I'm not gonna say I miss D1 or early D2. I think the game is the most fun it's ever been. But I think that, like you said, people with the rose-colored glasses are like you remember what it felt like to do it the first time.
Yep.
I hate to say it, but it's like a gateway drug. That first time you pick up a Fatebringer and you go out there and you shoot it and you feel that crispness of it all, you're like, this is a fantastic hand
You
cannon.
right.
Yeah.
You
And
right.
then you go out there and you start getting other hand cannons, they feel good. Be like, but it's not like the first time I held my Fatebringer though. And so
Yup.
it's kind of like you're chasing that high over and over and over again. And Bungie has been trying to provide that high, but it's like they've reached the ceiling. The only way to reach it is to start breaking shit.
Yep.
You got to release another recluse. And that I think there was another question in here saying like why did they sunset a whole bunch of like pinnacle weapons and stuff like recluse? This is why, because in order to get people to stop using it, and use some new stuff, you gotta make it so good that it makes the stuff that you got right now not feel like it's worth it. And I think that the game right now is the best balanced it's ever been, excluding PvP and Gambit. It's the best like content wise. Like I don't know if y'all played D1 back in the day, but to get content drops like what we get today with the seasonal model was
Wait a year.
You had to wait a whole year for a whole new expansion just to get any story content. And
We
then,
didn't have mantling in D1, y'all. We didn't have mantling on the platforms in D1.
Oh God, if you missed that
we did
ledge by
not.
just an inch, that was frustration beyond
If the tip
anything.
of your pinky finger just scraped that ledge, you were screwed.
It was a wrap. It was
done. So I can
So,
imagine
like-
how many raids were just lost because somebody could not mantle up onto a ledge.
It's definitely
Fucking King's
possible.
Falls and shit, man.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
So friend of the show, Darren asked, "Where is the Lightfall GL and all the marketing images?" And that is very true. There's a grenade launcher. I think there's
I
a
still
couple.
believe
There's
that
like
grenade launcher is going to be coming next season because
That-
they've been
see-
slowly releasing those promotional weapons
the only
throughout
one we
the
got was
past
the
couple
hand
of
cannon.
seasons.
The only one we got was the hand cannon.
Mm-mm.
And I even told you, didn't I say this last season that if we got the grenade launcher this season, I would shut my mouth. And I forgot about it. Look what happened. Look what happened, Tower. They didn't give us nothing.
God.
They didn't give us nothing.
I still think it's going to be coming in the fucking
Lightfall with the like matchmaking system, and we still ain't got that either. So it's on the way.
But at the same time, they communicated that there's a difference, and that's been my biggest sticking point about Lightfall this entire time is when Bungie communicates things, there's less stuff to worry about. But when Bungie doesn't communicate things, i.e., the whole issues with the narrative of Lightfall, to the point they had to literally release a twin or twab that week and be like, "Hey, hold up, hey, the hand cannon is next season. This is why we did this. We're doing new things." And it's like, why didn't you tell us that before? Why didn't you?
Because
why
Bungie didn't feel like
did,
they need to hold everyone's.
It's not
They
about
thought
holding hands.
everyone
It's about they
understood
set
shit
precedent.
about
It's about
narrative
they
and
set
about story.
precedent. They
I'm gonna
set
be honest
precedent
with you,
previously.
Panda. I'm gonna
Yeah,
be honest with you.
hit me.
We've been through this. We see what happens when the community doesn't get the answers that they want.
They get
Last
fecal.
week when we
They
had
turn into
the
2-year-old
DDoS
children.
issue, they turn into
Mhm.
2-year-old
Fair
children
enough. But
with
I'm willing to give
chainsaws.
Bungie the benefit of the doubt when it comes to DDoS attacks. That's a cybersecurity threat versus putting stuff in promotional material
Twilight Garrison.
that we don't get.
Twilight
Twilight
Garrison.
Garrison.
Yes.
Twilight Garrison, yeah, that's a great thing too. Like that was
Twilight
ridiculous.
Garrison.
I wholeheartedly admit that. That was ridiculous.
Dylan Gaffner.
Yes, like DMG.
Do
What
we
happened?
really
I'm
need to
not,
go
here's the thing.
back
I'm not
over
arguing.
the doxing
Like
of Dylan?
Like
Come
I'm
on
not
now.
arguing. Like here. I'm not arguing. Fans are problematic, but I will die on the hill that Bungie set precedent with Shadowkeep, with Beyond Light, with Witch Queen. That
They said before
Tower,
Lightfall
can I
came
talk,
out.
please? Tower, can I talk, please? I don't cut you off if I don't have to. Give me a second, please. You can have your turn. They set because we've had this argument before, and it always leads to like you, me, and then David trying to mitigate. I don't like doing that. That's not fair. We always like when it comes. They set the precedent with Shadowkeep and with Beyond Light and Witch Queen that your post game was included with the expansion. You got it the same time as the expansion. The memories in Shadowkeep, the Beyond Darkness missions in Beyond Light, the worm crap in Witch Queen. You had all of that the same season. The only time they even changed the precedent of that was with Witch Queen with the memories thing with the Savathun. And even then, they vocalized, hey, there is going to be more of these. And that was fine. But here, they waited until after everyone was mad and then went, hey, this is what we're doing different. And it was like, you could have saved yourself so much time and effort if you'd have told the community before that. And that's been my biggest complaint about it. The fact that they had to show us a mock-up of the hand cannon that they put in the promotional material that everyone thought was going to be an exotic. And in reality, it was a rinky-dink hand cannon that really hasn't really like shifted anything that much. The grenade launcher we still haven't got that I said that I was going to bitch about if we didn't get it this past season. Like, it's ridiculous. I understand the narrative of Beyond Light was controversial, but I still think it was great. I think the issue was the lack of transparency, the lack of communication that from the precedent that was set, and that's always been my big issue. Tower, your response?
They did. 3
When?
months in advance. They told us, hey, we're going to be doing something different with narrative, with Lightfall.
I don't recall that. If
They
you could pull
did.
that up, I would very much appreciate that.
In a T-Web. I don't remember the exact date, but I do remember them
That's the
saying, hey,
T-Web.
there is
You
going
kill
to
me
be
how you called it
there is going to
T-Web.
be a difference.
You killed me
And
with
we
that.
are
I haven't
experimenting
heard
with
T-Web
new
in so many
narrative.
months.
I think she's
We
talking
are
about
going to be experimenting with narrative changes.
I don't recall that, and I've read like every twin and
I want
twab
to
since
say
like
it
for
was
months and years now.
sometime after that like big reveal at the end of like what the hell was the name of the season? Season of the Seraph. Like they were like talking about how they were taking a couple leaps and bounds with how they were going to be doing the story. But
I'm gonna purposely go back through because I genuinely want to see if you're right, because I don't recall that. I used to read, and the thing is, I very much want to say something because I feel like I like you are very much a lore keeper and you are amazing, but I don't. It's not that I'm questioning you; it's that I don't remember it, and that makes me mad that I don't remember it. So please don't think
It
I'm trying to like
happens.
say
It
you're
was
wrong.
literally a single sentence, if I remember correct. It was
So
literally just
if
like
that's the
a
case, if it
single
was a single
sentence.
sentence, then that's still a detriment to, and a failure on Bungie because they know how fickle this community is. At that point, if it was one sentence, then I will still stand on the ground that Bungie made a failure there because you can't make a drastic shift like that and then be like, hey, now you're a rock star. We're changing everything now. Here's your hand cannon that you should have got like on the poster later next season. And oh wow, it's not an exotic. Oh, it's a pre-rolled hand cannon.
They never said that it was going to be an exotic. That was
But it
the
was shown with
community
Quicksilver
making
Storm.
assumptions.
But it was shown with Quicksilver Storm, and it
So?
very much looks like an exotic. We've never seen a gun like that in its own sort of like archetype, like ever. I don't think like ever in terms of
Wasn't that like a community drawn weapon though?
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't one of them. No.
So it's like when you
Arbalest?
create something that very much has
Yeah, that
the
was
presentation.
the skin for Arbalest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And like when you create something that sort of like has a presentation, like it's like Hawk Moon with modifications, and makes people think it's gonna be some new hot shit. And
that's on the community for not
I disagree.
for assuming.
I disagree because like when you show it with another exotic, that makes people think, hey, this is gonna be an exotic,
So?
but it's not.
They're showing off their favorite pieces of weapons. That doesn't necessarily mean it's an exotic. I
kind of agree with Tower
marketing,
on this.
you shouldn't assume that everything in a piece of marketing is going to be the big special. You should never assume that, especially if they already told you what this big special is, aka Quicksilver Storm.
Valid.
And I'm gonna agree with Tower on this. Freaking as a community, we should not, unless Bungie specifies out like specifically, this is what this hand cannon is. Don't ever assume that that's going to be an exotic or something you see in a trailer is going to be part of the freaking game. You know, until they specify it.
That's fair.
Like
I've seen people get pissed off.
At that point, you're assuming, and we all know what happens when people assume. At the same time, you're setting yourself as an individual up for failure. And you only have to blame yourself when your freaking hopes get dashed.
That to an extent, I agree with that. But look at the total shift with the Lightfall, not Lightfall, the Final Shape reveal. They said, "Motherfucking Vostok's coming back, Dragonfire's coming back, fucking all this different shit's coming back." They told us what's up. They showed everything. They showed was what was up.
They didn't show everything.
They didn't show it, but they said. That we don't know what they didn't show, but they like everything that was pictured was explained. Versus with Lightfall, it wasn't.
Yeah, because they feel like they had to do
critique.
so because of the community throwing a shit fit about stuff not being about them not being handheld.
Where's my grenade launcher, Tower? Where's my grenade launcher?
Oh my god!
Don't ask me that shit because you know I'm not Bungie.
Right, I know.
That's not fair.
I'm saying it hyperbolically because if you're going to advertise something, you either need to explain why it's not here or present it to the community.
You do realize that every single movie trailer that you see, 90% of that isn't in the finished film, right?
Don't MCU me. Don't MCU me. That's not valid. That's not valid.
That's valid. That's valid. I gotta give her a freaking prop. But then at the same time, Panda, we still have half a season left of this. I think we're at half.
If I don't see my grenade launcher by my
and we have another
season, and we still don't even know what's going on next season. All we know for next season, we're gonna get some more exotic armor tuning. Possibly some more weapon tuning. Stasis is back on the menu, boys.
Thank God.
That's it. That's all we know for next season.
That's all we know.
You know?
See,
we don't have a name. We don't have any sort of info.
You two specifically get on my nerves. I'm being hyperbolic here. You two get on my nerves because y'all be up in here like, you don't know, and it's like, bruh.
You
like
don't
it's the
know,
same thing
so
with,
you shouldn't make assumptions.
It's the same thing with Checkmate.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. if Bungie was to sit here and lay out every freaking thing that they're gonna do from the launch of a freaking expansion to the very end, like I'm telling you, like this is when you can expect this weapon, this is when you can expect this exotic.
Please tell me what. Please say what I'm thinking.
I guarantee you, the community is gonna bitch because quote it's not enough, or oh I'm not happy with that decision, or
Here's
They're
where
gonna find
I agree
reason
with
to
you.
fucking nitpick it.
You
Exactly.
are correct.
And that's why
you are
and
correct.
That's why most developers condense their freaking roadmaps to just a season, especially in the live service. Because of that,
yes.
they want to keep the hype for the next season.
There's no surprises, Bungie.
But here's the thing. I agree with you. On everything you just said, I agree with you. But here's the difference. They already showed it. If you want to have surprises, cool. Don't show it. Don't show it.
We still got a freaking season and a half left for them to freaking drop it on us.
I'm gonna say the same thing that I said about Checkmate.
I'm
gonna say the same thing I said about Checkmate. If we get to final shape and it's not here, I want $5 for both of y'all.
Okay.
What?
All right.
Okay.
I want $5.
All right.
Because I stand.
But you know what? But you know what?
What's up?
If they do drop it,
I'll give you $5.
I'll give you $5.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And like even Hart said in the chat, the writing is on the writing is on the wall. And that's my biggest thing. I have no problem with Bungie hiding things. Hell, we've said it on the show that we hate when people leak stuff and data mine and whatnot. I don't have a problem with that. I think we should be more secretive, and Bungie should do what they want. But when that thing was on posters, when that thing is in the game, in the loading screens for the Lightfall campaign, and we're sitting here with the hands out like, where's the hotness? And it's not here. Bungie looking sus. Anyway,
all right, I got a question that I saw that I want to definitely. What are your top 3 favorite raids in the entire Destiny game?
Ooh.
All right. And because I picked this one, I will start off first. First and foremost, I'm not going to put them in specific order, but I'm just going to list out the 3 raids total. So first and foremost, King's Fall, because that was my very first ever raid.
Okay.
And that will always have a freaking spot in my heart. Okay. Number 2.
Okay.
Deep Stone Crypt.
Hey, speak on it.
That entire freaking raid. And I'm sorry, I'm not one for jumping puzzles, but that spacewalk is fucking
hot.
chef fucking kiss. The best one. And the music just set the atmosphere.
Yes.
And then last but not least, I never did it back in D1.
Wrath.
But Crota's End was fucking fire, and it is still. I'm having a blast with this raid. Fucking absolutely fantastic. Abyss can kiss my ass. It's still pain. But freaking the raid overall is just freaking great. Those are my 3 favorite right there.
Power, what you got? I'm gonna let you go next.
So, King's Fall. Absolutely. That was my first reprised raid.
Simp.
I'm not even going there. Okay. Here's the deal. I never did raids in D1. King's Fall was the first that I did in that was reprised. So it will always have a special place in my heart. I actually really enjoy all of the mechanics in that. The dick wall is hilarious.
Oh my god.
And I'm not a fan of jumping puzzles either. Definitely not. My second favorite would have to be Deep Stone Crypt, honestly, for the same reasons as Cajun. I love the fucking Deep Stone Lullaby. That whole spacewalk section is just, yeah, absolutely chef's kiss. Beautiful. The location is gorgeous. I love the fact that they added a freaking exo elixir. Like, Atrax? Come on, girl. Come on, girl. All right. Like,
Fair
that
enough,
was
fair
actually really fucking cool. I don't even care that Tanix was part of it because Tanix is a dick. We've killed him a bajillion times. My third favorite, to be quite honest, isn't one that I've done myself, but one that
Okay.
I've watched a lot of times, and that is Spire of Stars.
Okay.
I thought Spire of Stars was a beautiful, especially the boss room, the final boss room, absolutely gorgeous location. I thought that was really freaking cool that you get shot up into space and you get to throw these freaking cannons at the boss in space. Like, that's fucking awesome. That mechanic is probably one of the coolest things I have ever fucking seen in a game ever.
Fair enough.
Loved
Fair
it.
enough.
Absolutely loved it.
David, how you feeling? What's your top three?
Oh, ho, ho.
Oh, snap.
Let me talk to you. Look, we'll go from the third all the way to the best, the tippy top. Like number 3, Garden of Salvation.
Ooh, speak on my
Garden of
love. Speak on my
Salvation
love.
I won't
is
lie. If this was
number
a top
3.
5, if this was a top 5, Garden is definitely in my top 5.
Speak on my love, David.
100%. Garden, first of all, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a gorgeous raid.
Yes.
From start to finish,
Yes.
you feel like you're somewhere else in your own special, like, raid environment. And that's going to be like a big theme of like all of my like top 3, right? But each encounter felt different enough from the last while still adding on to its mechanic. And it genuinely got people to actually talk to each other. And that's the thing that makes raiding so fun, is where you meet friends and you get to talk to people and you get to engage. And no other raid gets people talking, whether that's yelling at each other or having fun, quite like
we're doing the
Garden of
dip
Salvation.
puzzle.
Right. Okay, what's your number 2? What's number 2?
You gonna open your mouth. Now, number 2, everybody knows it, everybody loves it, The Last Wish.
Oh,
my girl Riven.
Okay.
If it wasn't Auntie Zivu that I was gonna send for, it'd probably be Riven. My girlfriend to this
day. This man went from a hive god to a freaking dragon.
To this day, my girlfriend still be a poacher because I explained to her the lore of The Last Wish and why we were sent to kill Riven. And she's like, "Oh, so you're just a poacher, huh? That thing wasn't messing with you, it was bothering you, and you went in there and killed it, and you took its heart and you put it in something. Good job." But the raid absolutely gorgeous. I don't think any
David?
other. Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity.
Go ahead.
Are you a bard? Because that's some bard-like energy right there.
Oh no! Because you wanted to sleep with the dragon is why he keeps calling you a bard.
Oh my god!
You trying to roll to sleep with the dragon? All right, David. What's your number 1? What's your number 1?
Oh, that hurt.
Oh,
It hurts right. Ow. Number 1 to this day, and I refuse to hear any other argument. The Vow of the Disciple. No other raid has been handcrafted so perfectly. Each is an absolute joy to do. They all get people talking, whether it's you're having fun or you're doing the mechanics. And they're like, no other raid that I have seen in Destiny, other than like Ron, allows you to see the entirety of the raid from the first encounter. Like, as soon as you get in to the pyramid, you can look over, you can see the boss room, and you can see yourself working toward it. Throughout each encounter, throughout each jumping puzzle. And don't get me started with my boy Roke, the Riz.
The Riz on that man's. The Riz on that man's.
Fuck you. Like, look, my man's a smooth criminal. He like, look, my boy was out there. And then like you get some of the best raid loot and like one of the best stories. Like I don't feel like Bungie's ever done anything better.
All right. Now, let me talk to you folks. Let me talk to you.
Shit.
So, my number three. Crota's End Reprised. There's a reason behind this. I said it earlier in the show. I'm gonna say it here. The Ron syndrome had to die. And from the beginning, the minute you step into the abyss, you learn that Ron is done. You learn you need to turn your mic on, you need to communicate, and you need to square up, or you're getting knocked upside the head and off the map. And it's going to be funny.
And even when you do communicate, you can still get knocked off the freaking map. Holy shit.
I love that.
Yep.
And the second reason why I will always say Crota's End my third favorite, because I love the way they innovated. They defied what everyone said.
It was a dungeon. Why are they bringing a raid as a dungeon?
They made me a believer. I said, hey, yo, this ain't going to be shit. This ain't going to be nothing. We going to be out of here in 2 hours flat. They done smacked us upside the head, and it was fun. And I loved it. And it was great. The third reason why it's number 3 on my list is because I will never have a better experience on a day one than going in with the people that I give a shit about in the world and putting in work. Did we get a day one clear? No. But are we going to go in and final shape and put in even more work? Yes. And I will cherish that.
That is what day one is for.
Yes. Number 2, Vault of Glass reprised. The reason why I say that is because the growth that I had as a character, as a guardian within the release of Season of the Splicer to the end was astronomical. I went in half-cocked on day one reprised Vault of Glass, and I was the only person staying alive because Stasis Titan was busted during that. And I went through 3 different teams, couldn't even get in the door because everyone kept dying. But over the next few weeks, I busted my ass. I learned every mechanic. I Sherped over like 30 different teams through that raid, and I was proud of myself. I put in work. And then when Master came out, it was my first ever seal completion within the same season that it came out. And I was proud of myself. The crowning achievement of it was we didn't think we were going to have enough DPS to kill it on DPS round 3. So right as DPS round 2 ended, I hot swapped from Bubble Titan, because I main Bubble Titan, to Thunder Crash Titan. That way the other two Titans could have their bubbles on standby for the crazy one-shotting harpies. And literally, I kid you not, I launched my whole body like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch into that damn bitch Atheon, and it was a freaking moment of triumph for me. And I got my Fate Breaker, and I wear it proudly, and no one can take that from me. So that's why Vault of Glass will always, that's why I have a passion for the Vex as characters in the genre. I feel like Bungie needs to stop neglecting the Vex. I think Vault of Glass is amazing and needs to be harnessed more, and I love it for that reason. Now, I just said that I like the Vex. So my number 1 is Garden of Salvation. Now, why do I say that? Well, Garden of Salvation was the first raid that I ever did in Destiny, minus a Crota checkpoint by myself in D1, because I had no friends, but I convinced some dude off of LFD to give me a Crota checkpoint. So I did it by myself. And when I came to D2, I did my div run in the same day as my first ever GOS. And I sat in there for 12 hours while people came in and came out, and busted my butt to get it done, because I kept like sitting in the LFG at each room, people kept leaving, and we finally got it done. And the reason why I love GOS so much, the music, hype, the landscape, butter, like the mechanics are top tier. It teaches you that you cannot be lazy in a raid, and it makes like I saw somebody in the comments said that it's hard on a first attempt. I get that, but it teaches you to nut up and do the content the way it's supposed to be done and not look for just an ad clear position. It makes it so everybody has a job. If you don't defend your spire during a second encounter, everybody dies. If you don't enlighten when you're supposed to, everybody dies. You get to third encounter. You don't shoot the right eye, whether it be inner and outer, everybody dies. Fourth encounter. If you don't get enough modes banked in the machine, everybody dies. And it is fundamentally powerful because everything is made to be like balls to the wall, amazing and exciting. And no, not enough people appreciate Garden. It makes me mad. Garden of Salvation is an achievement from Bungie that no one appreciates because they hate like doing mechanics and they want to be lazy in content. I will fundamentally say that Garden of Salvation is one of the best things Bungie has ever invented, and it's not appreciated enough. Now, give me Garden of Salvation crafted weapons, damn it.
I'm right. I'm right there with you.
Weapons,
freaking,
I'm gonna need them to
crafted
fix
weapons
that
needs to
tether.
Dude,
that's fair.
If we were talking about top 5, Garden is easily, like I said, with Deva, Garden of Salvation is definitely in my top 5 because that's another one.
Fair enough.
I remember the second time going through and like really taking a second to look at the landscape, look at the background, the whole thing. I remember taking screenshots of the raid, and I had that as wallpapers like for my computers at work, as well as my personal computer. And I had actually people come up and say, "Oh my God, where's that? That looks beautiful." I was like, "That's in a video game."
Yep.
Right?
What?
To this day, one of my biggest failings is the fact that giant Vex waterfall area after third encounter was supposed to be another encounter, but it got cut during development to the point that in the Lightfall campaign, you go back there and they use that area for a whole mission. You can tell what they wanted to do during that, and it's so cool. Garden is not appreciated enough, and I will die on that hill. Now, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. We're going to go ahead and have closing statements. Tower, what is your closing statement for episode 46 of Cosmodrome Radio?
My closing statement is keep the fun questions going. I love this kind of stuff. Y'all feed me. Keep feeding me.
If we have time, I might start doing community questions like every week. It'll be kind of fun. Deva, what is your closing statement of this episode?
My closing statement is, guys, stop being a poacher in the last city, and remember to bring Riven cookies for Christmas.
If they let us, because we haven't been able to do it for 2 years.
You guys gotta apologize for all these one phases that we've been pulling off. Nobody does their encounter right.
Simp.
Everybody just completely abuses Riven.
Simp.
She deserves.
She just needs her weekly manicure. What are you talking about, dude?
All I'm saying is give us Master Last Wish and Master GOS and Master Deepstone. I'll be the happiest kid in the candy store. Yeah.
Rock with that.
Like, you know how many people would nut over Master Last Wish where they actually go in, they fix Callie so you can't cheese her. They actually make the mechanics really hard. You can't just like cheese Riven and make it really compelling. That would be amazing. Master GOS where you actually have to try, man. Phenomenal. Glorious. You know what I would do for a Reckless Oracle Adept? I'd work my ass off. Freaking Accrued Redemption and Adept, man. Sammy Cat plays would go insane for an Accrued Redemption Adept. Like the world would fundamentally alter at the words. Like Cajun, what is your closing statement?
So we're starting to wrap up. We're about halfway through this season. So with that being said, Festival of the Lost is going to be coming out soon, and tomorrow actually officially starts spooky season. So with that being said, it's okay to be a basic bitch if you're into pumpkin spice stuff and whatnot. But just know that candy corn is not a fucking acceptable candy. And if you hand that shit out, you deserve no RNG, bad RNG loot for the rest of the season. I said what I said.
That just for that, the next 4 episodes I'm eating it on screen on stream. The next 4 episodes, all throughout the year, I'm eating on stream.
I'm
don't
gonna
care.
hold you to that too.
Oh, I hate you
I'm-
so much,
I love me some. I love
Panda.
me some
Why
candy
you
corn.
got-
Everyone hates on my candy
why-
corn every year.
Oh,
I
Why
have it
you
at work.
gotta do
I
that,
love
bro?
my candy corn.
You gonna torture us like that, man?
I'm gonna be snacking. I'm gonna get a picture of my avatar, like a chibi version of my avatar, dressed up as a giant candy corn, just to taunt y'all. Like,
Oh my dear.
oh.
all right, y'all. My closing statement for this episode is:
Bro.
we need to start appreciating people more in this game. We need to be kinder to people in this game. We need to
Yes.
fundamentally understand what this game is as an RPG and teach people what it truly means to be a guardian. The amount of toxicity in this game is disgusting. The amount of crazy stuff I see all the time drives me nuts. So I honorably ask, treat more people with respect. Treat more people the way you want to be treated. Stop just acting like this is a nut house where nothing matters. Like, in the past few weeks have been super rough on me just because of how people have been acting, and it sucks. So please do better and care about your fellow guardian. We will be back next week. Don't forget, folks, that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music and Audible, Spotify, YouTube, all those great places. You can check out the merch store, shop.cosmodromeradio.com. Cage is wearing the shirt right now. You can pimp it out for you. We make sure that you support what we do. We love putting in this work for y'all. Every dime that you guys give goes into the next shirt design. We're trying to get one made for Christmas, so definitely let's support that if you can. And we're just gonna keep putting in work. So we will catch you guys next week right here, Starside. Peace out.